Are your accountants up to the standard, or do you have poor accountants? Today I'm going to share with you some tips so that you will understand whether you have A-class accountants or maybe a C-class or even a D-class. So these are the traits that poor accountants do, and these are signals for you that you need to change them. The first common weakness that we observe is that these accountants, they use Excel instead of licensed accounting software to process all the accounting information. And most importantly, they are not even using licensed software to process the payroll, which is very important to do so because the payroll in Cyprus has become incrementally difficult. It's a difficult task to do, and certain laws and regulations apply, especially if you have seasonal employees or if you're taking advantage of the government schemes, or if you have agreed certain terms with your employees, such as days of holidays or annual leave or unpaid leave and what have you. So there are many parameters involved, there are many deductions involved, and you need to be using a licensed payroll software. So the minute you realize that your accountants don't use this kind of stuff and they're processing everything, or they have a clerk posting everything on Excel, definitely you're using a C or a D class of accountants. Another trait of these accountants is that they're always late. They're late with the submissions of the VAT returns, or they are late requesting you for information for the VAT, or you feel that they're always anxious about paying taxes. They're not quite sure what taxes are, or they don't explain to you in simple words what the corporation tax is, or whether you should be paying provisional tax to avoid the penalty. In August and in December you need to prepay the tax for the current year so that you avoid the 10% penalty. And of course, the most typical mistake that we see is that they forget to accrue and to pay afterwards the deemed dividend tax, which kicks in 2 years after a profitable year if the shareholder does not take any dividends. Another way to spot whether your accountants are weak or very strong is when you're asking them questions either for your VAT or during the audit closure, when you will be signing the audit and you review the financial statements. You feel that it takes them too long to get back to you, or they're not quite sure about the numbers, and in the end you feel that yes, they close the accounts, this is what they're telling me, but I'm not quite sure they fully understand and they know what's going on. And this is typical. I've seen it throughout my career as a trainee, as a chartered accountant, as a manager. We review other accountants' works from time to time, and this happens because lots of work is performed at the background, and during the closing of an audit or the VAT return, the client doesn't really know how much work has been put into in order to arrive to those figures. Simply by asking questions, how come this is higher this year to last year, or what is this expense, and seeing how much time it takes the principal or your audit manager to ask one of their junior staff to go and find out what's going on in that number. This gives you an indication, because speed is everything. And this is related to the next point, of course, which is how well organized your accounting firm is. So if you feel that this accounting firm uses CRM software, uses software for the payroll because they're sending you on a monthly basis your employees' pay slips, or you get automated notifications and you see that certain people from the office are calling you, certain deadlines, you're receiving emails, the accounting and the VAT return is done on software where you can request how come the VAT return is that much, so they can send you the reports, which are of course on a licensed accounting software. Again, you get a feel that, okay, my affairs are well handled, because let's not forget that accountants and auditors, they're handling hundreds of clients. So if they are not well organized, you're going to have adventures with the filings and the payments of taxes to the income tax office, to the VAT office, but you will also forget to pay maybe the annual levies of the company. Maybe you forget to file your financial statements to the Cyprus Registrar of Companies, which has now become very strict, and the company might be at risk of being striked off, together with the routine tasks such as the correct payment of the social securities of your employees and payment of your quarterly VAT return. Also, if you're trading within EU, then red alerts, you need to be submitting monthly VS reports. Again, this is something that your accountants will pick up the minute you start talking about your business, and this is something that you need to pay attention to, that if you're selling within EU and you have a Cyprus company, or even if you have any company that sells other EU companies which are VAT registered, then if you're talking about services, you need to be preparing a monthly VS report, or if we're talking about goods, you need to be filing your Intrastat reports. These are very important issues that your accountants need to take care of early, and these are routine issues. So you need to be comfortable that they're well organized, they know what they're talking about, they're using expensive software and expensive licensing solutions because they're regulated. Otherwise, how come they operate? In Cyprus, like in the UK and like in the rest of the world, I believe, you do not need to be licensed and regulated to be preparing your own VAT returns. And this, I believe, is something that governments do not enforce, so that sole traders and people who want to set up their startup or they want to do a new business venture, they don't get pushed back from having to pay an accountant on top of the rest of the expenses. So I believe there's a deliberate reason why anyone can prepare their own VAT returns and as a result their own accounting records. But of course this is very tricky because VAT investigations do take place, and if you are not maintaining or submitting correctly your VAT returns, you will pay maybe 3 times or 4 more how much you would pay a local accountant to prepare them for you, and of course you will lose tons of money for recruiting this accountant, for paying the penalties, for paying the VAT due, and for losing business all this period that the VAT investigation will take place, because trust me, your mind won't be in business development or in sales or in client retention, but you will be dealing and you will be very anxious and nervous with this investigation. So these are the traits of poor accountants. Pay attention to them. If you feel that your accountants and your tax experts or your auditors fall in these categories, then I believe you should change them, because you will end up paying penalties and fines unnecessarily for late submissions, for errors, for inconsistencies, but most importantly, the audited financial statements of your company will not represent fairly your results and your balance sheet position each year. So maybe there's a big risk that you're not taking correct, informed decisions about the future growth and about the future operation of your business. At this point, it's important to also point to all you, the entrepreneurs, the business owners and the shareholders, to of course pay a lot of attention to what the audited financial statements of your companies say and what's the picture and what's the story behind them, than merely paying attention only to your bank account, because your bank account might not take into consideration liabilities that accrue, or may not be taking into consideration overdue taxes or the next quarter's VAT return, amongst other things. So your cash at bank is one indication your business is doing okay or is growing, but of course you will make your decisions and your future actions based on the audited financial statements of your company year on year, and not merely on your bank account. If you like this video, like it and share it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned and we'll try to prepare more valuable short videos like this, which will enhance your knowledge and understanding about aspects of your business and your corporate obligations.